Friday. Therefore, it is Stories for Children. And we see Norman with his very childlike beard there, and Babasi with his childlike beard, and Bob with his smooth, his childlike shades, and David just being David is just the day. So and this evening, I can't. I was. Hold on, you've got loads of people coming in tonight, Rona.
Oh, good.
So it's worth the effort,
Yes.
right? Anyway, tonight we have it gives me great pleasure to introduce Rona Barbour. Take it away. Oh, even Phil's coming.
Oh, thank you very much, John.
There we go. We're looking forward to this.
Good. I'm so looking forward to it myself as well. One of the stories I'd like to tell, I'd actually practically forgotten about it because it's been so long since I've told it. And it's a story that I actually heard from somebody called Alma when I was at Woodbridge Festival Society for Storytelling donkeys years ago. And I've never been able to find that woman again, or anybody who knows her or has ever heard of her. So I want to give her credit wherever she is, and I hope that someday her and I meet up again, because she told me this story. Well, I've changed it somewhat, but this is a version of the story that she told me. Now, Tom was only 6 years old when he decided that he wanted to be a fisherman, because he heard all the exciting stories that his father would come back with after he'd been out on a catch. But because he was only 6 years old, his mother wouldn't let him go on the boat with his father because it was far too dangerous. I mean, a fishing boat is not a playground. You know, it just wasn't a place for a wee boy to be. But by the time he was 9 years old, he had managed to convince his mother that she wasn't ever going to get another day's peace until he was allowed to go on that boat with his father. And when he did, the excitement, oh my goodness. However, it was very dangerous. Every time a huge wave came up and washed over the boat, he went with it. So his father had to end up tying him to the mast so that he didn't go overboard. Well, this was like the best joyride he'd ever been on. This beat any roller coaster he'd ever been on. And when he got home, his mother was so pleased to see him still alive, at least. But when he told her, that was it. He never wanted to be anything else other than a fisherman. And when he was about 12 years old, he reiterated this to his mother. Again, I'm going to be a fisherman when I grow up. And she said, well, that's fine, because, you know, you can work on the boat with your father. Oh, no, I don't want to work on the boat with my father. I'm going to have my own boat. Oh, she says, I don't think you realise how much it costs to buy a boat. He says, I'm not going to buy a boat. I'm going to make one. You're going to make your own boat? Oh, well, okay, let's see how that goes. But you know, it costs a lot of money to buy the wood, even to make a little rowing craft. He said, I'm not going to buy the wood. I'm going to gather it up from people who have got things they don't want that are made of wood. Well, the following week, he put a note through everybody's door in the village. Hi, it's Tom here, down at number 14 High Street. I'm going to be building a fishing boat and I need wood. So if you're throwing out any old furniture, please throw it this way. Well, the next thing Tom's mother knew was that her garden, her pathway, her drive, everywhere around the whole house was covered in wood. And eventually he had to go round with another note saying to everybody, I've got enough wood now, don't have to bring me any more. I'm going to start building my boat. Well, to be honest with you, his mother never had very much faith in him, but she should have, because this boy was absolutely incredible. Not only had he cut every piece of wood to the same size, shape, it was almost like he was going to build this boat of blocks that were just like Lego. And when she was giving his bedroom its once every 3 months hoovering, she saw these books piled on the bedside table, ship's architecture, ship's design, and she was absolutely flabbergasted because that young man, boy at that stage, over 3 years, he built his boat. I'm just getting a phone call in the background. It happens every time.
Hello?
So can you just ask them to call back, please, Simon?
Excuse me.
Sorry about that. He built this boat and it was incredible. It was a little rowing craft. It had 2 bench seats, one at the front and one at the back. And it had, he even bought the things that the oars sit in. It was absolutely fantastic. And when he was 16 years old, he went out for the first time in his brand new fishing boat. And as he rowed out into the waters, he was so excited. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, but he knew that to be a decent fisherman, you had to, you know, get up early in the morning and go out in all weathers. And he did. And he cast his net over the side. And when he pulled it back in, he was shocked. And he suddenly realised that everything round about him was different. The sky was blue instead of grey. The sea was blue. He could see the fish swimming around. And they didn't look like herring or cod or any of the usual fish that he recognised. No, these were tropical fish. It felt as if he was in tropical waters. And he felt the heat of the sun just a short time afterwards. And he was flabbergasted. And when he dragged that net in over the boat and saw these incredible fish, he couldn't believe his eyes. Now, he had already prepared the hold, which is where the fish would go, and he had ice in the bottom, and he chucked those fish in, but it wasn't even half full. So he's throwing his net over the side again. And he comes in with an even bigger catch. And these fish all look incredible. Some of them are blue, some of them are pink, some of them are silver. They're tropical fish. He can't believe his eyes. And then he sees this tail sticking up, going like this. And he pulled on it. Ouch! Put me down, you fool. As he lifted the tail higher and higher, there was a body attached to that tail. There was arms. There was a head. He'd caught himself a mermaid. He was so excited. He said, I can't believe it. I'm going to take you home and put you in my front room, and I'm going to charge people to come and see you. You'll do no such thing, she said. You'll put me back in the water right this minute. He said, oh, I can't do that. I've never met anybody that's caught a mermaid and was able to prove it. So if I take you back, I can prove that I've caught a mermaid, and I'll probably be the first fisherman ever. And she said, if you don't put me back in the water right now, my father, King Neptune, will rise up from the sea, and with his mighty trident, he will swipe your entire village into the sea. Oh, he didn't like the sound of that. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea after all. Well, but you see, how am I ever going to prove that I actually caught you in my net? She said, well, I'll give you a gift. If you put me back in the sea right now, I will give you a gift that will prove that you caught me. Well, what will you give me? She said, what would you like? I have diamonds, I have rubies, I have pearls, I have gold, I have artifacts. What's artifacts, he says? Oh, never mind, I can explain that later. I have swords and shields and helm. You've got all of those things? How have you got all of those things? She said, well, where do you think my front room is? Oh, at the bottom of the sea. And what do you think happens to all the ships that are lost at sea? They're in my front room. Wow. Well, I would like you to give me, oh, and he couldn't make up his mind. He said, just surprise me. So she jumped over the side, and the next minute she was gone. And he waited, and he waited, and then she suddenly appeared again, up over the side of the boat. I'll have to borrow your knife, she said. Oh, he clutched the knife in its sheath at the side of his... Oh, no, he said, I can't give you that. My grandfather gave me that for my 16th birthday, and it's been in my family for years. It's a family heirloom. Well, she said, I can't give you your gift because the seaweed's far too tight around all the things that I want to give you. But she says, are you saying you don't trust me with your knife? Oh, no, I would never say that. Oh, no, but, anyway, he decided to give her the knife, and he handed her it the proper way by the handle first. And she took it and disappeared under the water again. Well, 10 minutes passed, 20 minutes passed, and there was no sign of the mermaid. I've been such a fool, he thought. She's gone, she's off with my knife. What am I going to tell my grandfather? He'll be so disappointed. I know, I'll tell him I caught a shark and it was so big that I tried to cut it free and I dropped the knife. No, he's not going to believe that one. I'll tell him, and then the next minute, she popped up out of the water. Oh, phew, he said. Ah, so you didn't trust me, she said. No, I just thought maybe you'd got caught up or something. Well, I'm back, she said. And he looked, and she handed him the knife, but she had nothing else in her hands. And he was a well-brought-up young man, so he didn't want to say, where's my gift? So he said, well, it was really nice to meet you, but I'll be going now. I'm going home. And she said, yes, I hope to see you again sometime, Tom. You know my name? She said, of course I know your name. I know everybody in your village. Oh, well, I'll be going now. And the people in my village will be pleased to see me. Yes, she said, I'm sure they will. But you remember you were going to give me a gift. How rude. I've already given you your gift, Tom. Have you? Where is it? She says it's tied to the back of your boat. Tied to the back of my boat? And he looked round and there was a little bag of seaweed tied to the back of his boat. What is it, he said? Is it diamonds or is it gold? Or, is it one of those fartiacs? Artifacts, she said, not fartiacs. Oh, well, tell me, what is it? She said, it's seawater. Seawater? Seawater? You've given me a bag of seawater. I'm a fisherman now, and I float about in the stuff all day, every day. And you've given me seawater. It's not just any seawater, Tom. I've given you your own ocean. My own ocean. And he looked at the bag and he thought, but he decided not to say any more. He didn't want to push his luck. He had no idea what was in that bag, but he hoped and prayed that it wasn't seawater. But anyway, he looked again, and when he saw his fish, he'd been reminded how lucky he was to catch all those fish. And he decided that it was time to go home. I've enjoyed meeting you, he said. It's been wonderful. And although I'm not getting to take you back with me, I'm sure I can convince people that I really did catch you in my net. She said, yes, I'm sure you will. And they said their goodbyes, and he rowed home. Well, when he was pulling his boat back up onto the beach, some of his friends ran to meet him. What have you got there? What? No, you didn't catch them in the North Sea. You must have bought them off a passing Japanese trawler or something. He said, no, I caught them in the sea, but it was very strange. The sun was shining, the sky was blue, the sea was blue. And his friends were going, no, Pinocchio, that's a lie. Fortunately for John, there was a very old fisherman sat by them, and he said, you will have caught those fish last night, because last night there was a storm, and we have one of these storms about every 100 years where the whole world is turned upside down. In the Bahamas, where they were expecting blue skies and blue seas and sunny weather and heat, they got weather all the way from Aberdeen. It was freezing cold. The sky was grey. The sea was grey. But this young man had tropical fish in his waters now. Well, the rest of them believed him now because this old fisherman knew everything. And he said, "That's not all I caught." "Oh, really? What did you catch?" "I caught a mermaid." Oh, there you go, the one that got away. "No, really, I caught a mermaid." "Well, where is she then? Is she under that tarpaulin?" "No, is she?" "No, well, I can prove it because she gave me a gift." And then he wished he hadn't opened his mouth because he had no idea what was in that bag. And he prayed that it wasn't seawater. "She gave me a present and it's there, tied to the back of my boat." And the boys rushed round and one of them pulled it off and brought it to him. "What's in it?" He said, "Well, to tell you the truth, I don't really know yet." "Well, let's have a look." He says, "No, I'm going to take it home. I want to show my mother. And, I want her to see it first." Unfortunately for him, his mother was walking towards his boat just at that very minute. "Oh, come on, Tom," she said. "Let's see what's in the bag." He said, No, I'm keeping it. I want to show my girlfriend." She says, "You haven't got a girlfriend." "No, but I'm going to get one." "Tom, open the bag. Let's see what's in it." He had no choice now. So he took his knife and he sliced that bag open. And out it came. Seawater. Seawater. Everybody looked and stared. Seawater. But as it hit the sand, it turned into pure gold dust. "Run," he said, "run. Get a blanket, get a cushion, get a bucket, get a pillow, get anything you can and take out the outside and fill it up with gold dust before the tide comes and washes it all away." And they did. They all ran home and got buckets and pots and anything they could get, and they filled them up with this gold dust. In the end, Tom had more money than he knew what to do with, and so did all his friends and family. He built all those fancy houses in Aberdeen that cost a fortune these days. But you know, the most important thing for Tom was that he was the only fisherman that you or I have ever known or have ever heard of that was able to prove that he had caught a mermaid. Thank you, guys. This one's just for Despina. I'd like to tell you the story of a young Greek girl who lived in a village. Now, Greece is known for its beautiful villages. It's also known for its beautiful girls. You just have to look at Despina and you can see that. And this particular young girl was no exception. She was absolutely stunning. And she was clever. And she had a very special talent. She was a wonderful weaver. But she was not like our Despina in any other way, because she was vain and proud and rude and all the things you wouldn't want your daughter to be. She was it. She lived with her mother. Her father sadly had died a few years before. And as a teenager, she was extremely difficult. But this skill that she had of weaving brought people to their village so that they could see not only this beautiful girl, but what she could do with a needle and thread. And she boasted and she said how clever I am and how beautiful I am and what a wonderful weaver I am. I'm probably the best weaver in the whole world. In fact, I'm probably the best weaver in the next world as well. I'll bet you not even the gods could weave as well as me. Wow. Athena heard this and she was furious. How dare she, that upstart of a girl? She needs to be taught a lesson. I will pay her a visit. And just at that, an old woman appeared in the village and she started to walk up the hill towards the house of that young girl. Ari, her name was. Yeah. As she walked up, she had to step over a puddle, but she just lifted herself over that puddle. A puddle in the middle of the road in this great village where it never rained, and even if it did once in a blue moon, the water would have disappeared again. But no, nobody could get rid of this big puddle of water in the middle of the road. Scientists came to examine where it was coming from and why it always came back after they had cleared it away. So when she went to, I've got a visitor now, I don't believe this. Oh dear. When she went to get to the house and the young girl was there, she knocked on the door. And when the young girl saw Athena, who was now this old lady and practically in rags, Ari looked at her and she said, well, what do you want then? Who are you and what do you want? And Athena said, well, I've come to see your weavings because I believe that you are an incredibly good weaver. Only the best, she said. I don't know about that because I'm a weaver myself and I'd like to challenge you. Really? You're an old woman. You probably can't even see properly and look at your hands. They're all gnarled. No, I don't think. Oh, so you're not up for a challenge then? Oh, I see. Well, she was far too proud to let that happen. Okay, I'll take your challenge, she said. What do you want me to do? And Athena said, well, I would like you to draw a picture of the gods and we will both do the same. Not draw a picture, make a tapestry. And when the tapestry is finished, we shall decide whose is the best. And that will be the best weaver. Well, very well, said Ari. But you know, you're only wasting your time. Athena was furious. This girl was unbelievable. She was so fortunate. A wonderful mother who looked after her well. She was absolutely beautiful and she was clever and she had this talent. And she ruined it all by being so nasty and proud. So Athena thought, okay, I'll give her a chance. And set down the challenge. 2 days later, they were going to see who could make the best tapestry of the gods. Well, when the day came and Athena arrived back at the house and saw this tapestry that Ari had woven, she could not believe her eyes. It was absolutely incredible. It was magnificent. But it was also what made her so angry because it was a caricature. And she had drawn Zeus with a great big horn coming out the side of his head. She had drawn, all these gods all had different, Athena had a wart on the end of her nose. Oh, she was absolutely raging mad. How dare you, she said. And Ari said, what, you don't like it? Athena had to admit that it was absolutely wonderful. But she didn't like the fact that it was, it was just unbelievable that she would have the nerve to make the gods look like that. And she said to her, you think you can do anything, don't you? And she said, yes, I do. Why wouldn't I? She said, well, my dear, I'm going to teach you a lesson. To depict the gods like that, you deserve to be punished. And what, you're going to punish me? She said, yes, I am. And just at that, she turned back in to Athena, and the young girl was gobsmacked. She was terrified, dropped to her knees then and begged forgiveness because she knew exactly who was standing in front of her now. And she begged her to forgive her. And Athena said, no. You have two wonderful gifts. You have your beauty and you have your weaving. And I am going to take one of them away from you. Oh, please, please take my weaving. Don't take my beauty. I'll never be able to find a rich husband if I'm not beautiful. Well, that's just too bad, because I'm going to take your beauty and leave you your weaving skill because you're going to need it. And at that, she put her hand on Ari's head and pushed down and down and down. And as she did so, Ari got smaller and smaller. And then 8 legs sprouted from the side of her body. Her little head turned black. 2 red eyes appeared. She was grotesque. Ari, isn't it? Isn't that short for Arachne? Yes, said Ari's mother, who was stood by there, breaking her heart to see her daughter reduced to this. You're going to be the first Arachne, said Athena, and you will spawn many of your kind. And you will be found in every dark corner, in every home, in every castle, in every shed, all over the world. And you will be despised, you and your young, and their young, and their young. And Ari's mother collapsed in a heap on the floor beside her, sobbing. And Ari scuttled off to the corner, where she wove her first web, and where she is till this day. When Athena turned around, she looked at Ari's mother, and she waved her hand across her body, lying there on the floor. And at that moment, Ari's mother arrived in a different village in Greece, with no memory whatsoever of what had happened to her, no memory that she had ever had a daughter. And Athena felt that her work was done, and she left that village. But as she left and traversed closer to that huge puddle in the road, she decided to take it with her. Why? Just because she could. Thanks, guys. That was yet another interruption. Unbelievable. I'm sorry about that. But I hope you enjoyed that wee story of Arachne, the first spider. And,
Enjoyed the stories and the interruptions.
Oh, gosh. Thank you, Barbara C. It's kind of you to say so, but it's extremely, extremely infuriating. So now, since these are stories for children, I'd like to tell you a story about a little girl. She was no ordinary little girl, actually, this one. No. Let's just say she was mischievous. Yeah, that's a good word to describe her. She was always up to something. And she was only 5 years old. And she had a gift. Oh boy, did she have a gift. She had the loudest voice on the planet. And when she cried, everybody could hear her for miles around. And her mother was like, oh, please don't. She would give her anything just so that she wouldn't cry. And when she went to school to pick her up this day, she heard her. Before she even got into the street where the school was, she heard her daughter wailing. Sally, her name was. Sally could cry for England. She could just open her mouth and belt it out, and people would be like, oh, no, it's Sally again. And her mother approached the teacher and she said, what's going on? And the teacher said, I'm sorry, she's not had a good day. A new girl has joined the class, a new girl called Megan. And you know that Sally and Lisa were best friends. Well, Lisa decided to be friends with Megan, and Sally felt a bit left out. And now she's really sad and feels that she's lost her best friend. And that's why she's been crying for most of the afternoon. And her mother said, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll take her home now. And as they walked away from the school, Sally was still crying, a little bit quieter, but not enough. And as they approached the bus stop, her mother said, tell you what, let's play our favourite game. I don't want to play a game. I'm fed up. And Megan was, I don't even like her. And she's joined our school and now I don't have Lisa. And it's okay, said her mum, don't worry. You know, we can all be friends again. No, it doesn't work like that, Mum. You've got no idea. That was my best friend. Oh, come on, she said. And as they climbed onto the bus and Sally was crying, there was a few people on that bus that recognised Sally. And the first thing they did was, it had been raining. It was November. It was the last week in November and it was freezing cold. And inside the bus, the windows were all steamed up with condensation. And upstairs, Sally sat in front of the window and she wiped her hand across the window and stopped crying for a minute because the bus stop was right outside an Oxfam shop. And she saw something in the window and she said to her mum, oh, I would like that. I would like that for Christmas. And her mum said, what, the lava lamp? No. Him. There was a little teddy bear in that window and he was all scrunched up like this and he had a tear on his arm and he only had one eye and he was absolutely filthy. But Sally thought he looked so cute and her mother was having palpitations. There's no way I'm bringing that thing home to my house. She was a bit house proud. You know, one of them that was a bit OCD. She was not having that teddy bear in her house. What? And Sally started to scream and her mother said, okay, I'll think about it. I'll tell you what, if you've got enough money in your piggy bank, when we get home, you can buy that teddy bear. Oh, that was it. Sally stopped crying and all she could think about all the way home was what she was going to call that teddy bear. And she settled on Max. When she got home, she'd only been home a few minutes when her father arrived. And her father came in and she launched at him and she said, guess what, Daddy? I'm getting a new teddy and he's so cute. And her father said, oh, that's wonderful. Father Christmas bringing him? No. He's in the Oxfam shop. Bill knew what that meant and he looked over at Liz, Sally's mother, and she's going, and he's like, what's going on here? So when Sally ran through to the kitchen, he said, what's happening? She said, she's not getting that teddy bear. I don't care what happens. She's not. You should see it. It's Maggie. God knows where it's been. Every germ known to man will be lurking inside that bear. You can't do that, Liz. You can't tell the child she's going to get it and then tell her she's not. Well, what I've said is, if she's got enough money in her piggy bank, she can buy it. But I know that she hasn't got enough money in her piggy bank. Oh, that's cruel, Bill said. That's not nice. She said, well, I can't risk her bringing that home to our lovely, clean home. No, it can't happen. And don't you think about giving her the money to buy it, because that's not in the deal. Well, the next morning, it was a Saturday morning. And the first thing that the family did was that they went to Asda every Saturday morning because, you know, Liz could buy the bread that she liked there. So they piled into the car and Sally said to her dad, we're going to the Oxfam shop, aren't we, Dad? He said, oh, yes, dear, we're going to the Oxfam. Not till we've been to Aldi. no, we'll go there first. Well, Liz was furious at that. And when we drew up just round the corner from the Oxfam shop, she refused to get out of the car. I'm not going in there. I might see somebody that I know. Oh, for goodness sake, he said, get real. No, so her dad took her to the shop. She skipped all the way along. And when she got to the shop window, she said, there he is, Dad, isn't he very cute? Bill had to admit this teddy bear had seen better days. He was absolutely filthy. But when they walked into the shop and the woman in the shop said to Sally, can I help you, sweetheart? She said, yes. I've come for him. And she took the woman to the corner of the window and she pointed in. Teddy, oh, do you know I was going to take him home? He's been here for 4 years, 4 Christmases. And I thought, I can't leave him for another Christmas. And I was going to take him home, but he'll be far happier with a little girl like you. Well, said Sally, the thing is, I don't know if I've got enough money to buy him because I've only got, and she held out a little hand. And the lady said, how much have you got? And she said, I've got 18 pence. Well, you'll never believe it. That's exactly how much she costs. Bill's heart was going boom, 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 boom. He was so proud of his little girl at that point. They got the teddy bear. And the woman in the shop put it inside one of those brown bags, you know, the kind that Americans get their groceries in. You'll know about that, guys. Some of you will anyway. So the teddy bear gets tucked into that bag. Sally holds it and rushes out the door. Well, it's raining again, isn't it? Chucking it down. And they run round to the car. And just as she goes to climb into the car, she realises the bear has fallen through the bottom of the bag. And she starts to cry and her dad said, don't worry, we'll go back. Well, Liz is having kittens on the front seat. No, we won't. We need to get to Asda so I can get my bread before it sells out. Forget it, said Bill. We're going back for the bear. And he turned around and he and Sally rushed back to the shop, looking, following their footsteps all the way back. And he was nowhere to be seen. And Sally said, somebody's found him, somebody's picked him up. And then they were at the shop and there he was back in the window. But there was a sign there that said, not for sale. And Sally, not being able to read very well, said, oh no, it says not for Sally. She must have thought I threw him away. And the woman opened the door and she said, hi, sweetheart. No, that says not for sale because I knew you would be right back. In you come. So in they went. And this time the lady wrapped the teddy in a towel. I forgot to ask you, she said, have you given him his name? Max. I've called him Max, she said. And she was so happy to have this little bear cuddling him. And off they went back to the car. Well, when she got in the back seat and put her strap on, Liz said, well, then let's see the damage. And when she saw the towel that the bear was wrapped in, she said, I can't take that into the house either. God, it's filthy. When they got to Asda, Bill got a trolley just for Teddy. And Sally got to push it round the shop. He stopped at the baby counter and he got some little biscuits for Teddy and a baby's milk bottle. And Liz said, I hope you're paying for this because I'm not. I'll be happy to pay it, he said. Anyway, after the shopping was done and they were home, Liz went into the kitchen and she was in a foul mood. She had lost the battle. That bear and that towel were now in her home and she was not happy. And she moped about all day. And then after tea, when it was bedtime, and little one went to bed, Bill said she could take that teddy wrapped in that towel to bed. And Liz was furious. She was apoplectic. She lost that battle. But when that child was asleep, her mother went upstairs and opened the door and crawled round the corner, the side of the bed, And she tugged at that towel, and she pulled it free from Sally's arms. And then she crawled out the door with the towel and the teddy and went downstairs into the kitchen. She put her foot in the pedal bin and she dropped the towel in. That was the end of that. Now for the teddy. And she sat down at her kitchen table with her sewing kit and a box of old socks, odd socks. She was going to stuff him a wee bit more and stitch up the hole that was in his arm. And in her button box, she found a new eye. And it was a brown glass button. And believe it or not, it was almost identical to Max's eye. But when Max saw that needle coming towards him, oh, poor little guy, he was terrified. Oh, don't touch me with that. But she stuck it in there and he went, ouch. Of course, she never heard it because she wasn't the kind of mother that could hear a teddy bear speak. She wouldn't have believed it anyway. Well, she stitched that eye on there and oh, ouch, 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 what? But then, when she'd finished, wow, he could see everything. Wowzer. And then she started to stuff these old socks and things inside the tear in his arm, poked it all the way down his tummy till he had a wee fat tummy again. And then she got the needle and thread again. Ouch. And she stitched, ouch, ouch, stop it, ah. And then she had finally finished stitching and she bit that thread off and she looked at him and he looked an awful lot better. But you'll never believe what she did next. She opened the washing machine and chucked him in and pressed hot, soapy wash. Poor Max, he got battered senseless. Soap in my eyes. Oh, soap in my mouth. Oh, get me out of here. And then it spun until he was left lying helpless in the empty machine. And she opened the door and picked him up by the ear. Oh, yeah, oh, you are a horrible woman. Oh, I don't like you very much at all. And she dropped him onto the table where he landed with a thump. Ouch. She was not a kind woman at all. Then she put him in the hot fluff dryer. She opened the door and chucked him in there as well. That wasn't as bad. In fact, it was quite nice. Oh, I'm going all soft and fluffy until it got too hot. Get me out of here. Oh my God, my nose is burning. My ears are burning. My bottom's burning. Get me out of here. Ow, ouch, ouch, ouch. And it stopped. And she picked him out. And she carried him through to the living room. And she knocked on the door and stuck her hand round the door. And Bill said, this better be good because I'm watching the football and Manchester United are winning. And she said, it's good. Turn around and have a look. And he turned round and he said, hold on a minute. I thought we had a deal that she was to keep the bear that she had. This is it. What do you mean this is it? That's not the same bear. That's the same bear. And she took it over and she showed him where she had stitched it. And she showed him that he'd got a new eye. Bill was mesmerised. He said, that's some work. Wow. Well done. I'm not quite finished, she said. And she took a ribbon out of her pocket, my favourite colour, tartan. Well, several colours. And she tied it round his neck and he looked just perfect. And the next thing she did was went into her laundry cupboard and brought out a nice, clean, fresh white towel and wrapped him in it. And Bill's thinking, she's not that bad after all. She went back upstairs, opened the bedroom door, crawled round the corner of the bed and slid that teddy in that towel into Sally's arms. But Sally woke up just as she was doing it and she tried to scurry out the floor, but she didn't quite make it. Mom, is that you? Yeah, she said, I'm just looking for my earrings, sweetheart. It fell out earlier on when I went, oh, okay. Mum, look at Max. He's all brand new. Oh, there's been a miracle. She said, there has indeed. There's been a miracle. He looks beautiful. Oh, I'm going to take him into school tomorrow and I'm going to show. Will I show Megan? And her mum said, yeah, of course you'll show Megan. And you can show Lisa. And the three of you will be friends. And now there'll be four of you because there'll be you and Lisa and Megan and Max. Oh, yeah, she said, that's great. I don't know what it was about that teddy bear, but I can tell you this much. See, the next time they heard Sally crying, you could hardly hear it behind a bus ticket because she didn't want to disturb little Max. And to this day, she doesn't cry. Well, maybe just occasionally and so quietly that you can hardly hear her. But I tell you, that story didn't make me very popular with the mums, because when I tell that story in the schools, I say to the children, now you know what you have to do now, don't you? You have to go to the Oxfam shop or the cancer care shop or Heads Up or anywhere and find one of those little teddies that's going to end up in landfill and take it home and get your mum to wash it and give it to you as a present. And the mums are like, so Sally and her teddy lived happily ever after.
What fantastic stories.
Thank you.
You, Rona. That was a beautiful evening.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm sorry
Fantastic.
for all the interruptions. Do you know?
No. We're live. We can stop and start. It makes it more authentic. You are the authentic. You're the real deal. Well, thank you, everyone. What we got coming up? We've got, well, Tuesday, obviously, we've got a Young International Tellers. And next Friday, we have all the way from Austin, stepping out of his comfort zone. We've got David Thompson, and then the well done. That it's and then we got Young Tellers, and then we got Simona. So we've got a lovely few weeks coming up.
Fantastic. Yeah.
But thank you all for coming. Thank you, Rona, for telling. Thank you, Waleed, for flying the magic carpet. Thank you. Is Louis still here with us? I can't tell. No, he probably has to go. Thank you all for coming to listen.
Thank you very
And
much,
be
guys.
on live on Zoom. And thank you, Despina, for the offer of just if I can never tell when I'm going from one field to another whether there's going to be enough signal for the internet to be working. But I'm in a particularly good one tonight. So thank you all. See you all Tuesday. Well, hopefully.
Thank you, Rona.
On Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Where's my wee button? Ciao. Ciao, Babasi. Ciao, David. See you soon.
See you later, girlfriend.
I'm still in Italy, but I go home on Monday, so